Hi, everybody. Matt Bull, MD of Action Coach in Loughborough, here with another episode of the Business Spotlight series. And we're very lucky today to have Martin Lewis from Membrance Limited on the call today. How are you, Martin?
I'm great, thanks, Matt. How are you doing?
Yeah, really good. Thanks. Really good. Right, let's get cracking. Tell everybody a little bit more about who you are and your business.
Hello, everyone. I'm Martin Lewis, CEO of Membrance. Membrance helps families tell their loved one's story. So we have a bespoke platform that makes funeral planning easier for families, but also for funeral homes. So there's lots of moving parts when it comes to creating a funeral service, and you only have a small amount of time to do it in. So yeah, we decided to make really cool technology that takes the stress out of the situation and just allows you to focus on the grief and your mental well-being going through that process basically.
Amazing, amazing. So talk us through the journey so far, if that's all right, because there is a great story behind many founders, but specifically with where you're at. If that's okay, if you'd explain how the business came about.
Yeah, sure. It was a really sad introduction to the sector. So my dad passed away a few years ago, and my family had to organise a funeral. And so I felt firsthand a lot of the issues in planning the funeral itself, but also having to deal and work in those conditions. I called myself a grief zombie at the time. I couldn't do the normal things that I could do, a few days before because you're so emotionally distressed at the time. You feel just like a cabbage that can't do anything. So I'm a second time founder. I used to own a marketing agency, and making booklets and digital bits and pieces is my bread and butter. But I found even when I was trying to make my dad's order of service, it was very difficult to function at the time and to get that done in the time limit. And I thought, okay, I need to investigate this. There's got to be a way that technology can make this easier for families. And I need to investigate the industry. Like I've never worked in the funeral industry. I don't know what this is. And I ended up going on a journey trying to understand the challenges from a funeral home's point of view and interviewing funeral homeowners and all of that stuff. And then sadly, I had a couple more family members pass away, and we had to organise more funerals. And I hit those pain points again, and I was like, okay, it wasn't just a one-off thing. This seems to be this seems to be just an innate part of planning funerals. Could we make this better in any way? And yeah, since then I started to design the software, work with funeral homes to kind of validate pain points and make sure that we were creating something that was going to be useful for the industry, basically.
Amazing. What I mean, you said marketing agency initially. You founded that. You've then moved into this sector. What have you learned about yourself in the second mountain, as we often call it?
That I have more holes than a colander, and the only way to fill them is to build a great team around you. Yeah, I think the only thing you can really do there is to know that you have flaws and to realize you've got to put processes or people in place that can make up for them. And enabling those people to do those jobs well is what I consider good leadership to be, basically.
Yeah. So were there some learning points, should we say, in the first business with the marketing agency, or some challenging times that you can remember that have given you that clarity that you've got with Membrance now?
Oh yeah, definitely. I mean, it was just I formed that company when I was very young, just out of like 23, and the whole thing was just a vertical learning curve. I know what I know now because I've made all the mistakes.
Mm.
Yeah, I think the biggest problem with an agency or something like that is when you're building a business, you have to understand what you want it to do from the get-go. If it's a lifestyle business, you have to be cool with that and know that if it comes time to sell part of it or a client list or something like that, that it's not going to be as worth as much as somebody that's trying to create a scale up with really high EBITDA and is a very investable proposition. And that's probably the most important kind of challenge that I took away from having the marketing agency was you, as a founder, you must be in the right headspace about what you want the business to do. You can't twist and turn halfway through, because the processes that you're building up within the business are different between a lifestyle business and scale up.
Yeah, absolutely. It's really interesting observation, that, because a lot of business owners aren't business owners. That makes sense. I think they like the idea of running a business or owning a business, but then the reality of running a business, as we know, is often a lot harder than many would thought. And I think many people would never go into it if they knew exactly what it was like. What from a mindset perspective now, what is it that you try to bring to the way that you run this business?
To be incredibly level-headed. So when you work in the creative sector, your power and strength is usually like some kind of emotional response to a brief. So you love the work that you do. You're really passionate about it, and that's how you make your best work. Graphic designers are all guilty of believing that they're actually artists, and that's a good thing because it makes them want to make beautiful stuff. But that can be a problem. You have to be incredibly level-headed. If you make something and you do a sprint and develop it, and the market doesn't like it or has problems, don't get upset about that. It's an opportunity to learn, go back and change it. Just be systematic with it. Use data to make decisions because it makes your life easier, and you don't need to have such rigid stances. I think sometimes as well, when you have an agency, especially if you have one that's known for a set style, like minimalism or something like that, you have to be an evangelist for the aesthetic itself. Whereas with this business, I was completely free just to put all that to one side. Well, the markets can tell me what this should look like, and we can test and iterate and do all kinds of things, because ultimately product market fit is what you're looking for here, rather than with the first business. When you're young, you want to be a domain specialist. You've just come out of university, you want to be a brilliant designer, and that's really different to running a design agency or something like that. It's the equivalent of somebody wanting to be a great film director, but then going to work serving popcorn in a cinema. Like, they're both loosely related to films, but there's not really any transferable skills. They're two different things. So that's part of the mindset that I had to get into this time, was this isn't a aesthetically driven kind of emotional creative thing. There's creativity involved in the software and everything else, but that's not what you're selling as a product. You don't have a team of brilliant creative specialists that are going to do work for another agents, do work for clients. It's just more driven by customer demand.
Awesome. So, I mean, there's some amazing reflections and learnings that you've had over the course of both businesses, obviously. For a lot of startups at the moment, it's a tough time to be starting up. There's one thing we know: the market dynamic is constantly shifting. Macro environment is shifting constantly as well. What advice would you give to perhaps a solopreneur, someone who's trying to get something off the ground, who's finding it tough at the moment?
To leverage the support networks around you. So I'm part of Leicester Startups. I go and work in the co-working space there and meet other entrepreneurs and all kinds of guests that are coming in that you can ask for advice with. And also, when you become part of one of these startup communities, you can leverage that whole network. Most people have been through the problem that you've got, and they have advice or they know someone that can help you with it. And in terms of like you're right, the landscape is pretty brutal at the moment. So raising investment is very, very difficult. Um, so I went on a course by Funding Hero, which was in Birmingham, and that really did a deep dive into becoming investment ready, having a proposition put together, a data room, understanding how you're going to track EBITDA, well, even if you're going to trade on EBITDA to begin with, to break down your company value and understand what's your North Star in terms of metrics there. And that was really good as well. And again, lots of network effects, got introduced to really great people that can help. And yeah, get stuck in with those. If you're still having issues, understanding the problem space is everything. If you don't get product market fit, it just means you don't understand the pain points and the customer properly. So you always have to go back to that, and keeps you nice and humble. Like, you'll think you know everything. You'll build something, put it out for the world, and they'll go no, and that's okay. Keep tinkering with it. Go back, try and understand it further. That's my advice to young people trying to start up businesses at the moment.
Brilliant. What does the future hold for yourself and for Membrance?
Well, obviously, I'm an egotistical founder, so I want to come into my industry and disrupt it and make sure everybody knows that I disrupted it and my business did it. I really like working in the funeral industry because by making a mark, you're helping families at one of the toughest times. So before we had our software built, I was doing concierge services where I was acting as the software for families, and seeing them at a really terrible time when they just lost an immediate family member and things. And I was making funeral stationery for them and notices, and it was unbelievably rewarding to help people when they were feeling that way. And I think just more of that within the industry. So I know that when we personalize things further, it means more to the family. And so creating more and more tools where they can be involved and completely tailor that funeral service in some way to their loved one. That's where I see the industry going. I think we've got the technology now, in terms of the digital skills, but also our ability to turn around actual products, printed products and things. And I think we can really change a funeral from a set menu of things we just do into a celebration of somebody's life that's just much more tailored to their personality. I think that's where the industry is going to go.
Excellent. And yourself, how do you see yourself growing to facilitate that?
Oh, get really good at raising investment capital. I think one thing that has struck me is like with the first business, having staff is incredibly stressful. There's no doubt about it. But when you come away from having staff and you're just on your own again, it feels quite liberating. You can make all your decisions quickly and you can action things. And then after a while, you want to work with good people again around you. And I think I'm at that point again where we've created software and products and all sorts, and we're just getting to the point now where we need to start building up our operational team. And I'm really looking forward to that. I'm looking forward to trying to be a different business leader to what I was before, basically. And yeah, building that fantastic team.
Excellent. Final question. For me personally, I don't believe in regrets, but it's nice to look back. What advice would you give 18-year-old Martin as he sets out into the world?
I'd say just get stuck in. There's no perfect time to start anything. And if you have that mindset, you'll just be waiting forever. There's never the right time. You're not in the right space. Forget that. Just start doing it. Just start actioning whatever it is. If you want to start an e-com business, yeah, get Shopify on the go, start learning, absorbing information, and do it. It's the best way that I learn. Personally, it's through personal experience, and the more of that you can get at a young age, the better decisions you'll be able to make when you're older. So, yeah,
very cool, excellent. Martin, it's been an absolute pleasure having you on this episode of The Spotlight. I thank you for your insights. Thank you for sharing your journey so far, and wish you all the best with Membrance moving forward. Thanks again.
Thanks very much, Matt. Pleasure to be here. Thank you.
And to our viewers, I look forward to seeing you on the next episode of the Business Spotlight. Many thanks.